Showtime.
So I can't like pinpoint an age exactly. I just know that from some of my earlier memories, my brother was a huge fan. And so I just remember watching with him. We would always look out for Team Extreme and then out of the women's Lita. So it was always Team Extreme and Lita for me.
Nice.
I just remember, and I think what captured my attention most in wrestling is that these people like were people sometimes like you could relate to, like Lita was like, she wasn't the ordinary girl that you saw there. And so I immediately was drawn to her. And I just remember the feud between her and Lita. Like my brother was, I mean, Trish and Lita.
Yep.
And my brother was a huge Trish Stratus fan. And I was so like captivated by it. And I think that's what drew me into wrestling, was that it made me feel emotions. Like me and him were literally getting in arguments over like a wrestling match, and like my mom didn't appreciate it much because I don't remember which match exactly it was, but I remember clearly Lita had lost and I was not having it.
Devastated.
Yeah, I was pissed. Anything in that game room was free game. I was mad.
Yep.
So yeah, we definitely would watch. We would always play the video games as well. Like that's basically that, and like James Bond maybe were like the only video games that we had. So it's like when people would come over, they'd be like, "Oh, like let's play a game." Like, okay, do you want to play WWE SmackDown versus? Do you want to play? Or if you want to look at our Nintendo 64, we got WWE No Mercy.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, that's one of the things we love about wrestling too, is it makes you feel something, right? It connects you. But you know, so you transitioned from being a childhood fan, kind of playing video games with your brother and arguing over Lita and Trish and all that great stuff. And then you became, you had a moment where you took it to another level. You decided that you were going to make this your living. What was that like? How did you decide, you know, all right, like I'm going to start living out this dream?
Yeah, so I actually like to say that it was fate that kind of brought me here. So I went to school and I got myself a degree. But like while I was going through school, it was always like a joke that my mom loved. When like around finals and midterms, it got really hard because it's like, okay, when did we learn all of this? But apparently we did. And so I would like get super stressed, and I was like, you know what? Like, this is it. I'm just going to quit and I'm going to become a professional wrestler. Like, that's it. And my mom was like, no, like get your degree first and then go ruin your life. And I was like, bet. So that's what I did. I graduated.
Good for
I
you.
was like, well, maybe I should try and like use this degree that I just paid a crap ton of money for, or the government, I guess, paid for, and then now I'm gonna have to pay it back. But like that's another story for another time.
Next time we talk.
Student loans.
Yeah, student loans.
Come on, Biden, let's go. But so yeah, I went and I found a job, and I was actually supposed to go out But about 2 weeks before I was supposed to go, the volcano in Hawaii erupted. I was supposed to work at Hawaii Volcano National Park. It erupted. So I was like, well, basically I could either wait or get relocated. And I was like, this is fate. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I tried.
Yeah, Mom,
And
I
now it's
tried.
time. Exactly, I tried. So now it's time to look for wrestling school. So before I just like dove head first, I went to Booker T's fantasy camp down in Houston.
Wow.
And that is actually where I met Gino Medina. He signed under MLW right now. And he actually introduced me to Chris Marvel, which is the hybrid school of wrestling coach, at one of the shows that they had that was like 5 minutes from my house. And I had no idea that the wrestling world was like right outside my door like that until like he's like, oh, hey, you want to come to a show? And I was like, where? And he's like, oh, it's here. And I was like, okay, that's literally like 8 minutes from me. Why not? So I went. Chris Marvel was like, hey, come to the school tomorrow then.
Wow.
And then I showed up and he was like, whoa, you showed up. People usually don't come.
Yeah.
Like after they say they're going to. And I was like, no, dude, I'm serious. And so we kind of like vibed. And like I felt like he was on my same sarcasm level and he could hear the stuff that I was saying. And so at that point I was like, okay, hybrid is where I'm going to start. Like this is it.
Nice.
Personality per se that Toni Storm has, right? Like Sheeta deserves.
She's got all the personality, crayfish. What are you talking about?
Hey, I'm talking about Toni. She's got the personality. Come on,
yeah,
Juice.
that's right.
I'm not talking poorly about your girl. I'm not talking poorly about your girl.
I want to make sure you're set right here, crayfish. You know, I mean, we got so much personality coming out of our shows. It's great.
Exactly. I think that Juice is another example.
Her little underwear peaches that she gives to everybody. Break me off a piece of that.
I think that Juice and Toni are two perfect examples of big personalities that don't need titles in order for you to want to watch them. And Juice,
well,
I'm telling you right now, but
don't need titles part. But I mean, you know, I need I got my diamond ring still. We bought it at Macy's.
TJ Maxx.
TJ Maxx. That's right. TJ Maxx. So, you know, they're all the same. But I, you know, the biggest juice is what came out of MJF's noggin when I knocked him the skull open.
There you go, rock hard.
Well, I'll let you guys get back to it. I just want to make sure you were talking well,
of course,
about my girl.
I would never talk poorly about Toni Storm. Again, I want Toni to win. I just think that unfortunately things aren't going to go her way right now, rock hard. And I hate to break the news to you. I think that might be a theme of this pay-per-view for you and the people that you care about, my friend.
Well,
unfortunately,
I tried to tell her about Mariah May. I said, you know, Mariah May. She said, who? I said, Mariah May. She's from Stardom. She said, who? I said, you know, she looks just like you. She said, who? I said, you know, she's blonde and she's Russian. She said, who? I said, yeah, the one that was just in your locker room. And she said, oh. And then I said, the other girl. All right, I'll let you boys get back to it.
Thanks, Juice.
Right, see you, rock hard.
This is a.
This has got to be like, how does it feel to be a meme? And we don't. Where did the Ass Boys come about? I know
tell us
you
the
want to
story.
talk
I know
about
it's
it.
Uncomfortable. Yeah,
but
tell us the
it's
story.
the elephant in the room.
So I'm doing this, but I have headphones in, so I'm not. It's counterproductive.
You're just pushing it
still
in
hear
further.
Yeah, I'm literally. All right, listen. As much as you guys enjoy it, we don't enjoy it. Okay, as much as we are being disrespected, we turned on Big Show, and now we think we're on a roll. We're undefeated. I was like, people are gonna respect us. And who comes along on the Jericho cruise? Someone I've never heard before, Danhausen. Okay?
Who's that schmuck?
Exactly. Who is he? Who's he ever beat? Okay?
Yeah.
Now I'm talking like Matt from 2.0, okay?
Yeah.
So,
give him a taste.
Give him a taste. So that's what we did. On the cruise, Danhausen wanted to have a comedy show, right? And who does he pick? The most charismatic people in the biz. Me and Colton. So we get up on stage and he goes, I'll say this once. He goes, where's Billy Ass? And I go, that's not my dad's name. If you're referring to Mr. Ass, he's asleep. He's on a cruise, okay? He doesn't stay up and party. He's locked into his workouts, right? So I'm like, Billy Ass, don't call my dad that. And then he goes, and the Ass Boys. And everybody in the amphitheater thought it was so funny and started chanting Ass Boys. And sure enough, I went like this, and they started chanting it louder. And over time, I get back on land in the States, and I'm like, you know what? That was over. I'm great, right? No. I go out for my next match.
You.
Right when I go out of the tunnel for my next match, I think I'm going to get a cheer. I'm going to get a boo. No, guess what the whole arena is doing? Chanting Ass Boys. And I look at Colton, I go, what the hell is going on? I was like, this is not how our legacy is going to be remembered. And over time, it got louder and louder. And I don't know what to do. It's like a tumbleweed, and it's out of control. It's like a snowball going down.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what to do about it. As much as I complain online and try to tell them to stop making movie posters, stop doing this, stop referring to us as Ass Boys. I even put my name as not
You
Ass
did.
Boys.
You're making it clear.
I'm trying to do whatever it is to not leave our legacy as Ass Boys. It's disrespectful. I hate Danhausen. You can record that. You can put it online. I don't care. But I need the fans to know this ends. This is going to end. I'm starting a petition. Me and Colton have some ideas in the works about how to stop this from happening and snowballing out of effect. And I'm kind of getting worked up, as you can see.
I see it. I see it. And so much of it is because it's just disrespect.
It's hard to say. I mean, there's people like the Jerichos and stuff like that are always gonna, be the guy you go to, but there's people that I think kind of want that position a little bit, but I think our locker room is not like, it's not like leader based. It's really not like, it's like we have a thing where we just do stuff, and like when we bring something to the locker room, it's like, oh, for the boys. So it's like the Butcher, he would for a while. So for a while they had two different locker rooms. We got switched, so now we got like one bigger one, and it was the heels and faces, and then it was basically a Dark Horse and Butcher and the Blade locker room basically, and he would bring bread and peanut butter and jelly, and he'd be like, peanut butter and jelly for the boys. And now it's like when we did the stuff, now we have the big locker room. A lot of people like Miro, I think, got us. I think it was Miro and fuck. I think it was Miro. Miro bought it, so I'll give him the credit. We gave him all the credit anyway, but it got us all Chick-fil-A. Then a lot of times, like after the show, once you're done, obviously, when you're not filming anything anymore, like Chuck Taylor or Trent will get like whiskey,
Nice.
For the boys, guys, for the boys, So I feel like it's less of like you're like people like, oh, it's more of like we're just a together group,
like a family. Yeah. And John, that's so funny. No wonder why they call you the Meat Man and Johnny Hungy. I ask you about leadership, and your stories are about food and booze. So that's awesome, man. That's really funny. Go ahead.
Now, John, as now we're in 2021, what are some of your goals going forward with AEW professionally? What do you see? Do we see some gold around Silver's waist in the future, which we hope, what are you planning for?
I mean, that's the goal. I mean, there's a lot of things I would like to accomplish this year. One of them, and hopefully might be, which I actually have no idea. So I have no info, but I want the action figure to come out soon.
Yes. That's great.
What I'd like to hear. I want to be in the video game. I still have no idea about any of this stuff. Like no one's like, hey, this is happening, or this is going to happen. So I want an action figure. I want to be in the video game. And of course I want to win some type of championship. And of course I'd like to have the fans back. Those are my goals. I can't really myself get the fans back in there, but I want to have full crowds. I want to be traveling on the road every week, and I want to hear the crowd. And of course, when I win the championship, I'd love to have a nice big crowd there, and that'd be nice, or any type of championship. So, I mean, I feel like obviously the goals are always, even when I got signed for the first time, is I want to win the championship and I want to be AEW champion. But it's like I had to have smaller goals then. Now it's like, okay, it's actually could be a possibility somewhat this year. So at least those are the goals.
I love that.
Those are outstanding goals. I mean, you have a groundswell of support online, and we're going to be pushing as much for you. We should start a petition to get, Johnny Hungy an action figure for Johnny Hungy in the video game, because that would be
I could see
outstanding.
a whole Dark Order, like they could do a whole line of
A whole
just
series of
the
Dark Order.
Wave.
Deserve it,
Man.
yeah.
People would be digging that for sure.
Absolutely.
We'll see. Hopefully soon.
We're rooting for you, Johnny.
We are rooting for you. Like I said, we're going to be coming down soon, and Crayfish is known to be a loud screamer at sporting events. We go to hockey and stuff, and he's known to lose his voice by like the first 10 minutes of just screaming on the fans.
Get a couple beers in me, and yeah, definitely.
So we'll
Wrestling is definitely my thing for sure.
We'll try to make it feel like there's thousands when we're down there. But as we start to wind things down, John, I'd like to end on kind of a light note. We call the Fast Five. 5 rapid fire questions to get to know John Silver a little bit more. So you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Johnny Hungy, Meat Man, what's your favorite food?
Cheeseburgers.
If you couldn't be a wrestler, what would you be?
I probably would like, which I still would like to do one day. I would like to be in like comedy movies or comedy skits or like a TV show or something like that. So I want to do that eventually too also, but that would be my other goal.
That seems like such a natural fit for you. What we're seeing on BT. I mean, you can develop a reel in a second and send over to casting directors when you're ready. If you could recruit any celebrity to the Dark Order, who would you want to recruit?
I'm such a 90s guy and early 2000s guy. So top of my actually pick this person. I'm gonna go Woodfred Durst to get him in the dark.
Oh, all right. I was a huge Limp Bizkit fan too. Yep, I had the red New York Yankees hat I would wear all the time.
And Together Now was like my jam in middle school, dude. I love that song.
It's a good choice. All right, what do you enjoy most in your free time? What are like a guilty pleasure of yours?
So I have all this free time now. So it's really it's working out. I started going back now to kickboxing and jiu-jitsu classes, video games. And then, it's hard to go out now. I like to I know we joked about this, but I like to go out to eat a lot. So I'll try new places. And drink some beers too,
Heck yeah, man.
Nice. Cheers to that. Yeah.
That's my guy right here, dude. Video games, drinking, going out to eat. That's a cool, dude. Man. No wonder why everybody likes you, John.
All right, last Fast Five. Who abused you more so far, Brody Lee or -1?
Oh, definitely -1.
He seems like he's going on a tear as of late.
The first time that I talked to him, I was with his mom actually, and his mom was like, "Oh, I could video chat with little Brody. He loves watching BT." So I'm expecting this very wholesome,
I'm your biggest fan.
No, he gets on the things like, "Silver, what are you doing?" Mom, I'm you better. He's yelling at me
"You idiot!"
It's like not missing a beat from his dad.
Oh no! And then every time he comes down, he has beaten me up with papers, kendo sticks, and he doesn't get tired, so it just keeps going. So you have to hope he gets distracted by someone else, or for him to stop, or he'll just keep going.
Oh man, yeah, kids at that age especially, dude, their energy, man, oh my god, they'll keep going, man. It's awesome.
Oh yeah,
and he's great on commentary too.
We love him on commentary. He's hilarious.
Natural for sure. Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We are huge fans, like I said.
Huge,
we know great things are coming for both you and the Dark Order in 2021. Where can everyone follow along, John Silver?
I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram, and it is at Silver. Number is spelled out, and then just a 1. And do I have anything else? I got Pro Wrestling Tees. I got some of my shirts on the Being the Elite page, and I got my other shirts are on the Beaver Boys page. That's what me and I called back on the Indies.
That's awesome, John. Thanks a lot, man. Before we let you go, can we get a nice shot of that amazing artwork behind you? Because I've been catching glimpses of it, and I'm like, dude, that is sick. That is awesome, John.
What is that?
You never seen Dodgeball?
Oh yeah, okay. So
yeah,
that is
you can see. Yeah, there's been still. Oh, that's awesome, John.
That's what I thought it was.
So can I add one more question to that fast? Is that your favorite comedy? What's your favorite comedy, John?
I can't pick a favorite comedy. That's up there though. But favorite comedy, it's like such a hard question. I mean, I've been such a like Adam Sandler fan, Will Ferrell fan, freaking Ben Stiller fan. Like, it's so hard to pick one. It's just tough.
To tag or not to tag? That is the question. WWE announced several releases today, including Mustafa Ali, Shelton Benjamin, and Nick Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler. Several of these talents have publicly tweeted their thanks to WWE and their bright sights on their future. Also, thousands of fans, including many talents outside of WWE, have been tweeting out their own fantasy bookings of where they want to see their released talents go next. But there seems to be a swell of finger waggers chastising fans for fantasy booking released wrestlers and even having the gall to tag them and say thanks or where they'd like to see them go next. They argue, how dare you tag anyone in this terrible emotional time on Twitter when they've been released by WWE? How disgusting. To that, I have to say, what the are you talking about? See, wrestlers choose their level of engagement on Twitter. Sure, corporate mandates that they promote the show for the night or that they have a Twitter account. Just like the rest of us, though, they're people and they can decide how much involved they are on Twitter or not. Those that don't use Twitter are much likely won't use the app enough to see everyone tagging them. And those who do can choose which to read and which to not read. I don't think it's as much of an issue as people are making it. And how do we know they don't like it? The wrestlers who do this for the love of the game, they do it for the fans. Even the heels love talking shit at fans at shows. How is Twitter any different? Well, you can't smell on Twitter, so that's a plus. Sure, it's messed up for a troll to tag somebody when they're being mean, but how is it a problem tagging someone on Twitter to show them love and support and to be excited about where they're going to go next? I don't think it's the same thing. And finally, do you know what's worse than thousands of strangers tagging you and thank you in fantasy booking posts on Twitter? When no one does. Sure, being let go from WWE probably does suck a lot, but it's not so bad with how elevated and diverse the pro wrestling landscape has become. We're in a pro wrestling renaissance. AEW, Impact, NWA, even the indies. Look at Matt Cardona and Steph DeLander, what they've done with their careers. WWE is no longer the monopoly. There are legit opportunities out there for released talent. It's not AEW or bust. But imagine being released from WWE and nobody cared. Not even the trolls. Nobody. I would think that's worse. And the bottom line is that to have any success in this business, one must have a thick skin. Wrestlers are used to having fan interaction. They're grown people, and I'm sure they can take it. They don't need white knights feigning disgust at fans' fantasy booking or tagging them in thank you posts. They've probably already moved on and are looking at their next gig. So unless a talent says, stop tagging me, go on and tag them on Twitter. Tell them how much you appreciate them and where you hope to see them next. Of course, this is just my opinion. I could be wrong. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. Do you think it's wrong to tag wrestlers that have been released on Twitter, or just tagging wrestlers in general? Is there a difference between tagging them to show your love and support versus trolling? What are your thoughts? Is it disgusting to tag people on this day of terror and horrible emotional damage? Or do you think that maybe these wrestlers have a thick enough skin and are grown enough to have it handled, and they don't need white knights? Let me know. And of course, let's just enjoy wrestling. Let's have fun, respect each other, and keep it too sweet.
We would do it in my backyard out here, and I've probably went through 3 or 4 trampolines since we I even had to get a new fence, man, because we would do. I remember me and him would rock bottom each other off the fence onto the trampoline. The fence would how it's supposed to stand up straight. It over time it just kind of bent and was
well, you're jumping off of it and all sorts of stuff. You're kicking it, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My mom goes out there and was like, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
That's funny.
So that's the true start. That's when you get that burst and that joy. And then what was then you started training formally 4 years ago, you said?
Yeah. So here's the thing with that. We were out and when we trampoline wrestled, we were out there for hours, man. We would get home from school at 3:30, and we'd stay out there probably midnight every single day.
Wow.
We'd go in and watch for about 2 or 3 hours, go back outside and just mess around and do stuff that we saw. And then we were like, all right, man, this is enough. Let's try this for real. And I'm not kidding. 4 years ago, I thought the only pro wrestling was WWE.
Mm.
We looked up wrestling schools, and we found just a ton of us, ton near us, because we're in North Carolina, and that's a wrestling state for sure.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Flair country, man.
We found one about 30 minutes away at this place called Firestar Pro Wrestling, and we started training there in, like I said, summer of 16, and we graduated by January or February of 17. And then, since then, we just kind of hit the road, mainly doing shows in Georgia. I met up with this guy. His name's Bill Behrens. He's the super wrestling agent. He helps guys like AJ Styles, Chris Daniels, just to name a couple. I don't know if you see my Instagram, but I've actually the past couple of years went to AJ's house in Gainesville for Christmas.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, this guy has really been a big blessing to us, and he is the reason why I'm in AEW now, because he has a really good relationship with some of those guys that are there, and so that's how I initially got that tryout match.
Wow.
That's incredible in such a short amount of time. Before moving forward, I mean, I was a backyard wrestler too. That's kind of where I got my SPD gimmick, and my parents still share some old tapes that we have in my house, that VHSs that I used to tape myself, but never got to pass it, but it was definitely fun. I had some great time. We started our own little federation called XHW, Extreme Hardcore Wrestling, and it wasn't hardcore at all, but we thought we were.
No, we thought we were big shots. Our one of my neighbors has a trampoline too, and he had the thing around it, the net around it.
Was that your cage?
Yeah, no, we recruited him and was like, hey man, can we use your trampoline and we can tape our steel cage matches?
That's great.
I was like, I mean, he did it. He started wrestling with us too for a little bit.
That's awesome, man.
That is awesome. I love it.
But you wanted to learn a bit more about, I know, training is one thing, and obviously, Griff, you've met the right people, and your personality. It's no wonder why people are willing to go to bat for you. You seem like such a cool guy. But SPD really wanted to talk about beyond just that big break, the day-to-day grind, because one of the things that we were blown away by, obviously trying to study a little bit about you and who you are. You're a new star on AEW. Watching some of your matches, I went back and watched you against Austin Theory, and man, you look like a totally different person. And
Absolutely.
You look like a completely different person. So that type of stuff doesn't just happen with the flip, like, just snapping your fingers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What kind of training and diet and exercise, SPD, that was kind of what you wanted to kind of dive into, right?
Yeah. What's changed since you joined AEW?
Well, here's the thing. The reason I look like a totally different person is about going back to that Austin Theory match. About 2 weeks after that, I don't know if it's probably on the internet somewhere, but I broke my foot, and I found that there was a lemon-sized tumor in my foot that they had to remove. And so I was on crutches for about 3 months. And that was 2018. And then after that is when I really started like growing my hair out, getting a different look. I didn't really start hitting weights hard. Like I started hitting weights hard in college, but after that, like I was like, okay, like if I want to make it, like it's time to go to work. I started going like to the tanning bed 2 or 3 times a week. I work out 6 days a week. One of those days just being straight conditioning. Like I'll do burpees for 30 minutes straight nonstop.
Oh, those are not fun.
They suck. They're the worst. But I'm actually with the guy that I was just talking about, Marcus Cross. We go to the gym 5 of those days. But yeah, man, it's tough. Like you just gotta, you just have to mentally get yourself in that routine. Like, hey, I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna kick today's ass. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna eat right. And it's just like, I know the stuff I have to do to where I know the stuff I have to do in order to get to where I want to be, and I just do it. I've forced myself in a way to kind of be OCD about it.
Right.
It's weird. Like it's like if I don't go to the gym, if I don't eat a certain amount of calories a day, if I don't eat certain foods, like it drives me literally insane. So like I have to like make myself that way about it, or like.
Right. You have to train your body to crave it every day. I mean, just eating calories is tough on its own. I have a lot of friends that have done, bodybuilding shows and are pro, and just the diet alone is challenging. And I've read a lot of stuff about, there's different doctors and people on the AEW staff really trying to change some of the locker room's talents' diets. And you got a great look and everything. And I've told Crayfish many times, I'm like, if you put on like 15, 20 more pounds, eventually you're going to look like this absolute superstar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
do you have an end goal?
Right now.
What's your goal?
Yeah, my goal is 240. I'm 220 right now.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect. SPD, that's exactly what you were at. It's like, honestly, we watch you, Griff, and that's the sweet spot, man. You could take your career to a whole nother level with that extra muscle. And so what is the AEW staff doing to try to help you get that? Like, who are the people who really stand out on that roster? And that's something that I want to jump into really quick. Man, you have shared the ring with some of the names I could talk about: Chris Jericho, Lance Archer. I love FTR. I mean, you were in the ring with FTR. I mean, the amount of veterans that you've been in the ring with. What are some of the advice that you're getting is that getting to some of those goals? I mean, obviously 240, trying to build that muscle and get into that look defined by yourself, but those other goals, what kind of things are you gaining from just being in such a great locker room in like that regard?
Oh my God, it's absolutely insane. I got the call to go to AEW last May, and since last May, from May to January, dude, I feel like I've just knocked it up like 3 levels. And it's like I'm the type of guy that's really, really hard on myself. And I if I ask someone like, hey, how was that? Like, hey, how was that match? In my head, I don't want to just hear, oh, it was good. Like, I want some criticism. And guys like that, like you mentioned, Jericho, FTR, Lance is like my mentor, man. He's taking me kind of under his wing. And he's like,
we love Lance, man.
Man, he's such a cool dude. I love him. But he's always like, you need to protect yourself this way. You're a big boy. You need to protect yourself. And like FTR and like Jericho, man, they're so freaking good. And they're perfect. Like literally, like I'm serious. Like,
say it. I mean, honestly, there's so many critics online, Griff, and it's great to hear straight from somebody who is living in that environment every day, man, to hear the quality people that you get to work with. I preach, man. I mean,
Dude,
I love hearing it.
Like if you criticize, if you criticize anybody on that roster, you're just, I mean, you're just a hater, like, because they're all so good, like, and it's like I like nitpicky stuff. Like, yes, you could tell me my match was good. There has to be something that could have made it better. Please tell me. And like they do, like people there, they do. Like Jericho, FTR, man, they're a big help, especially now that me and Brian are the Varsity Blondes and we're a tag team, and that's my career path as of right now. Like those guys, man, they're the best tag team in the world. I'm gonna go ahead and say that as well. They're so nitpicky about how they put stuff together, and it's just, I love it. Like, I love that because like they want it to be perfect, and 10 times out of 10 their matches are perfect. So it's just like I want to do that, you know.
Well, I should have worn my FTR jacket and everything this interview, because SPD knows I kind of preach that old school mentality that FTR embodies, right? I love that they respect the business, and it seems like such a rare thing in today's culture, you know, and that the culture thing is really under scrutiny a lot these days. FTR really seems to go back and look at the past and the people that inspired them and paved the way in order to try to get better at what they're doing now, right?
Right.
Who are some of those people that if you go back and look at tape when you were a kid, right? Like, who are some of your favorites? I know that your dad really helped shape your love of pro wrestling when you were a teenager, right? And so, like, who are some of those teams, like, or wrestlers or teams that maybe now, if you're looking back on tape, that would maybe inspire Griff Garrison moving forward?
Well, when I first started watching wrestling, I was young. I was born in 1998. And the first match I ever saw in my whole life was John Cena debuting against Kurt Angle.
Wow.
That was my first match that I ever saw on TV.
An iconic match too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously I've gone back and watched stuff like the Rock and Roll Express, like their tag team matches, like their tag team matches are glorious. I could sit there and watch that all day. Two guys come to
go ahead.
Two guys come to mind though. The guy that made me fall in love with wrestling, and this is such a basic answer, so don't judge me, is John Cena. He's just the way, I mean, it's a basic answer, but it's easy to say. It's easy to say that just because of the way he captivates an audience and he gets their attention. Who cares if they're saying John Cena sucks? He's doing his job. Like,
they're making noise.
Exactly.
And noise is good noise.
They're focused on him, and it's just like, I want that so bad. And it's just like another guy's Edge. Like, so many people I've seen that like kind of compared me to Edge, and even Jim Ross compared me to Edge when I had that 12-man tag. I went back and watched that footage, and I was like, oh, holy shit! Like, I was in awe, like, because like Edge was like, I love Edge, like I used to hate him because he was such a good heel. That's when I was a kid. That's when I was a kid, and I was like, come on, John, like. But I was like, no, going back for sure and watching Edge, man, he's so good. It's almost crazy.
Well,
and you know what? It's funny because like everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're not signed. And if I want to be a dickhead, I'll be like, I'll just make sure whoever they put me to work with, like, they look like crap. But that's not the point, It's like, it's not my time right now. Like, I still, like, contractually, I can't do certain stuff, but it might be the time for somebody else. And when my time comes, it's going to be wonderful, and it's going to be the right time. And I'm going to get what I want, what I have worked so hard for it. And if it doesn't happen, guess what? Life goes on, and I will be helping other people. Because when I became a social worker, I wanted to help people. But I noticed that now that I'm a wrestler, I can help in a bigger scale. Right? Yes. Yeah. But I'm still doing the same thing. Like, my values haven't changed at all. And that's why, like I said, trying to change the mentality, trying to change the certain things, it is hard because we're so used to doing the same thing and being the way that we were. And there's going to be a lot of resistance. And even me, I was being resistant to a lot of the changes, but change needs to happen, and it starts with me.
That's very, very well said. And you have an outstanding attitude. More and more people across the world need this attitude. You know, it's not, you're so unselfish, and for others, it's really inspiring, very inspiring. And you talk about not being signed in people in the ring. I mean, here at Dynamite Download, we'll shift into back in AEW. We cannot wait for February 3rd at Beach Break. We've been preaching this for weeks,
Oh, yeah.
months and months. You know, we have said this time and time again, every show, that this is the feud of AEW, and it should, by a landslide, be the main event of Beach Break.
Preach it.
The first women's AEW main event. This should be Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker, and you guys definitely deserve it. Talk about uplifting other women and setting the bar high and being on a main stage, the main event. So the match at Beach Break, what's going to separate you from Britt Baker getting your hand raised over her hand raised?
I can't wait to hear.
What's gonna separate me? Well, first of all, I don't have a chichincle. I don't have a assistant with me all the time. You know, I come here and I come alone. You know, I come alone in the ring, but I have an army of spirits, people that believed in me, that have passed away, that give me the strength to get there and beat that bitch's ass. Like I said it so many times. You know, and like I think it's very important to make it very clear. Like, she has positioned herself to say that she is the AEW women's division.
Mm-hmm.
Purposefully, I agree.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
I came here, and she always tells me that I don't belong there. Yes, I'm not an AEW talent, honey, but I do belong in the ring, in any country, in any state, in any city.
Tell her.
And
Absolutely.
You know, and it happens to be the AEW ring and one of the biggest nights of the week, which is Wednesday on Dynamite. You know, and Tony knows it. Tony knows it. He wouldn't give us no dark match. He knows that this is what the people want.
Yep.
Main event. We were pushing it,
clamoring for it, Thunder, from the minute you burst on the scene. And once this feud started shaping up, SPD, I know, man, we're so geeked about this one.
And you should, because, like I said, self-made immigrant from another company.
Amen.
It's gonna be on Dynamite, and it's gonna show again and again and again why we have to put some respect on the NWA and why we have to put some respect on Thunder Rosa.
I love it.
Every time I get in that AEW ring, I show them.
Yep.
I show them. I don't use dark as like, oh, it's just a dark match. No, it's an opportunity for people to see who Thunder Rosa is, to continue to put respect on my name. Because
Britt Baker will respect that afterwards.
Oh, she better.
I mean, it's better. It's 10 in the morning, and I know you're tired, but we can feel the intensity and the fire out of you right now. And that's SPD. That's what we love about her, right?
Yes, the fire and intensity.
This is not kayfabe, guys. This is it. This is Thunder Rosa. You see what you get. That's it. You know, I'm not no fake wrestler. I'm a real fucking wrestler. I'm a real athlete. You know, I put my soul, my heart, and my everything every time I step in the ring. Yep. Teaching, coaching, jumping. I don't care. That's what you're gonna get. If you're not ready, Britt, I don't know what's gonna make you ready, because I've been ready. I've been ready for an opportunity like this. I was ready when I stepped on All Out. I was ready when I stepped in to defend my championship, and I won. And I was ready when I went and tried to get my championship back, and I lost it. I was ready. I've been ready. And again, you got yourself in there like you always do. I lost my match, and I know this has been a month and a half, almost 2 months, and where we're going back and forth. You already catch this too. Oh. I got 2 more. She already did multiple times. She's gonna catch them again.
The fire inside you is burning brighter than I have seen in anybody else. I mean, wow, this passion is outstanding, and that's what we love about watching you in the ring. Is you come in like a tornado, and you're give it 100% from bell to bell, and even before the bell, and you're not going through the motions. You are a true dedicated fighter and committed to the business, and that's what we absolutely love about you.
I told you guys, it's the real as it gets.
It's authentic.
I'm serious.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. You have to be authentic for people to understand, for people to connect with you. That's like number one. When I went to Japan, people didn't even know who I was, but they like my intensity. And this is like not even a year in the business.
Mhm.
Wow.
And they
It's
were like,
not
"Oh my God."
surprising. It's not surprising to me, Thunder, as a fan, because that authenticity, we can feel it for a long time. Even when you're watching a show or a movie, anything like that, right? If the person involved, if you feel like if it's real and true and they're believing it, it pulls us in more, and it makes us want to root for you more. I mean, it makes us feel that connection that much deeper. I gotta say, I love your fire. I love the intensity, but I'm not gonna front. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love having you as a guest, but I am a big Britt Baker fan too. I think you both are incredible stars. We talk about this all the time. I think that you really are becoming the face of AEW, and Britt Baker is clearly becoming the heel of AEW. You two play off of each other so well. And you're very different approaches. But there's no denying, in my mind, I see you both as stars, undeniable superstars on the landscape of wrestling. And that's why I am so excited for this finally to happen. I've been clamoring it as a fan, I'm so excited about it. I've got to ask, as someone who sees a lot of talent in Britt Baker, how has this, and you talk about this all the time, about those challenges and rising to the circumstances, how has Britt in particular pushed you in a unique way, or challenged you in a unique way that you haven't felt before? What about Britt has really pushed Thunder in a unique way?
I push myself.
Oh,
I'm not gonna wait for somebody to push me.
Oh,
Let's keep it.
love
Let's keep it straight. I push myself every day. She is just another jealous, condescending
Oof.
girl that thinks that she knows it all. And
I love your attitude.
She wanna take this lining out of the Thunder. I mean, let's be honest.
There is definitely some hints of insecurity, right? You mentioned like you could tell she's a little threatened that she sees a strong woman kind of entering the stage and stealing some of the spotlight. And I think that Britt's not used to that and certainly doesn't like that.
A little threatened? Like, come on. Like, for her to disrespect me the way that she did by smearing my face paint, a little threatening, and then a little jealous, calling me ugly, like.
Yeah.
Very jealous. And
You could tell. That's a good point by you, Thunder. Like, it feels like it's gotten very personal.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's 100% personal. Once you mess with somebody, it's like my pain is like messing with a luchador's mask.
Yep.
Like, literally.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't do that.
No, you don't.
Let me ask. I mean, once you ultimately beat Britt Baker, once you move on from Britt and you get your hand raised, surveying the landscape of AEW, the women's division really, there was a point when it felt like the tag division, the world heavyweight division was really pulling away, and the women's division was struggling to find its footing. But with the recent months that we've seen with Anna Jay and Ty Conti and Serena Deeb, yourself, some of these women who have really been establishing the AEW women's division is legit, and there's a lot of future and hope in this division. When you look at the division beyond Britt and you can get past her, survey that landscape for us, Thunder, and tell us who are some opponents that either intrigue you, like you'd like to get your hands on, that you feel might challenge you in a unique way, or just would be fun to get in the ring with.
I think I love working with Swole. I work with Swole in the Indies, and I don't think they haven't given her the right opponent to like showcase what she can actually do, right?
And just her strength and like basically her blend of strength and athleticism. You feel like she's just kind of hasn't gotten that chance to shine.
I think so. I definitely think so. Like I said, I had killer matches with her in the Indies. She actually came for her first show in Mission Pro Wrestling. She had a killer match with La Rosa Negra. I mean, I saw that match. It was like 15 minutes long, and I was like, "Whoa, where you been all my life?" You know, it was pretty awesome. Like, and she was in it, and it was, the energy was there, and she was able to showcase a lot of stuff that I haven't seen her done in a minute. It's her. Who else I am curious and interested to work with? I love Red Velvet style, which is she's really talented. I don't know. Like I said, I love working with the new talent because I feel like I can bring the best out of anybody that is in the ring always. And I will push them to their limit. Because I'm thankfully I'm skilled enough to be able to do some stuff and work different styles. So I think that'll be really, really cool. And another person that when she comes back, I would like to work with, it's Chris Stanley.
Yeah, Chris
Chris.
Stanley.
I cannot never say her last name. But yeah, she's very, very talented too.
That's awesome. And your first answer, your second, I mean, Britt, when you talk about Big Swole and you talk about Red Velvet, you talk Big Swole in particular. I mean, what a strong, outspoken like person of color. I mean, as far as she's not afraid of anybody. She will stand up for what she believes in and is not going to back down. I love that about Swole. So SPD, you're talking about, I know you're intrigued by the landscape, and there's a lot of young people, a lot of young talent on this roster.
There is, yeah, and I did like the Big Swole and Britt Baker feud. I think that was great for her, and it would nice to see you and her go head to head in the AEW ring down the line. You really would, lift each other up and benefit immensely from it. Being a coach as well, Thunder, any advice for young wrestlers, both male or female, if they're interested in wanting to get into the business? What would you tell them to really help give them some of the Thunder fire that you have?
Just to be first of all, you gotta be 100% ready for what it takes to be a wrestler. This is my livelihood. First of all.
Yep.
And it's sacred. You have to take this very seriously, because if you want to make it in the big time, it's a lot of sacrifice.
Right.
Body, mind, and soul, everything is a lot of sacrifice. This is not a joke. You gotta respect the ring. You have to respect the ring. Learn the ropes. Don't be lazy. Don't take shortcuts. Ever. Like, learn how to put a freaking ring together. That's where you work. It's like when you're learning when you're a website designer. If you don't know how to make a website, then you shouldn't be working as a web designer, right?
Right.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Have some respect for this business. Just because you go online and you can get over online doesn't mean that you're a good wrestler. Doesn't mean that you're a professional. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And bottom line is learn how to be professional. Period.
Man, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to talk to you, because you are so passionate about this business, and just listening to you there, just the respect for the people who have come before you, the sacrifices that it takes to make it. It's just it's authentic, Thunder. I appreciate you saying that. And I think that goes a long way when you talk about your role with Mission Pro. I mean, you're such a leader there. I've listened to you talk in the past about how important it is for women to learn everything from booking to production to tearing down the ring. It's not just about being a pretty face and getting over with fans. You are about putting in the work. And it's no surprise that Cody, that's his personal mantra. It's no surprise that he and the AW brass love you, because that is your mantra. But how do you carry that into Mission Pro Wrestling? When I see what this company is about, it's such a competitive industry, and you seem to put a lot of that personal desire aside in an effort to want to genuinely see people grow. Speak to me a little bit about your role as a locker room leader in that company and how you push those messages to the young talent.
Well, I'm not, like I said, I'm not alone. I have a team. My company is not gonna be it's not gonna be strong if I am not taking responsibility and my team is not strong with me. I can't do it alone. It's just a lot of work. But how I do that is I talk to my talent and I just keep it real, honestly, like with all the ladies. Like the one thing that I always say is, like, you work hard for what you want. And then you'll reap what you sow, and you just got to work hard. You can't take shortcuts. And a lot of the people that we have been bringing over is people that haven't been able to like get an opportunity, or they've been like overlooked because of X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
And when they come here, first of all, the first thing I said is wrestling, especially our wrestlers, is very important. I don't want to see spots. I want to see good storytelling, because that's going to separate you from a wrestler to becoming a great wrestler. I learned that throughout the years. Like I said, I haven't been wrestling for a long time, but that's what, separates me a lot from other people.
The
Like I'm not gonna do flashy stuff. I don't have to. I'm not doing Lucha Underground anymore. I don't have to get over it like that. So
yeah, I know that was not the prettiest divorce there, but I know that was a great opportunity for you in some way.
Absolutely.
I do think your approach is so focused on, like, it feels like a fight, right? I mean, genuinely, you approach it with a tenacity.
Well, you have to. I mean, let's be honest. Like a lot of the criticism that women have is like their stuff don't look real, that the stuff look too soft, that the stuff look too choreographed. Just the same as a lot of our male counterparts that do a lot of really awesome spots, but they look very choreographed, right?
Yep.
So that's what I tell the ladies. It's like, especially when they're doing 5-minute matches, and even here, I was like, do your best, your greatest hits, and do them right. Do them right. Always is like, focus when you're doing the matches are here. Yeah, I understand we're an indie show, whatever. But when I hire you to do a job, and the job is very specific. I want you to, through the TV or through the website, whatever we're being broadcasted, I want people to care about your character, and I want people to care about you, so we can keep bringing you back. Because if you do that, then that means you are marketable. If you're marketable, that means I might be able to help you out, or Jazz or whoever, to go somewhere so you can be marketable in a bigger stage. But if you don't do this in a smaller stage, and you take this as any other booking, then that's where you're having some issues. Because what you do there, if you do that there, you're gonna do it on TV. I've seen it so many times in so many dark matches with so many men and females, and I'm like,
right.
What do you do when other people aren't looking, right?
Exactly.
Yes,
perform, whether it's for one person or 100,000, you always got to go out there and give it your best. And, with you, we know it always feels real and always feels like a fight. And, that was some of our early criticism with the women's division and some of the dark matches in AEW, that it seemed a little bit too rehearsed, and it didn't seem like a fight. It was more of like a slight performance. And every time we saw you in the ring, and your fans and the social universe sees that you are going, it is a physical fight, and you are not messing around, and you're not going through the motions. It is all the way full throttle with you. And you have a huge week in the first week of February with Beach Break and Britt Baker, and a cage match on February 6th, just that recently announced. How do you prep for something like that with two humongous matches back to back? Like, what are you doing for your training regimen and prep?
Under 1 week?
I know, 1 week.
Dude, in 1 week, I defended my NWA championship like 5 times. So.
You're a beast. You are a beast, girl.
And I was doing MMA. Back then, I was training MMA full time. So I was like, who's next? Who's next?
How do you, well, speaking of training MMA, I mean, like, I think SPD's really, I mean, you're the body guy of this team, SPD. So I know you want to pick up some pointers from Thunder. What is your training regimen? Give us a little bit. I know you focused in on MMA recently. What's going on?
Right now, because of all the traveling, and I've been focusing a lot more on wrestling because, like I said, it's my livelihood right now. I've been just doing nothing but studying wrestling and doing a lot of bodybuilding. So I've been working with a nutritionist who also gives me my workouts. And he used to be a wrestler. He used to be the first generation of Shawn Michaels' school here in San Antonio. So we share a lot of stories, and he knows a lot of people that I know. So he knows the business. And he's always watching my matches and AEW and NWA. And he's like, girl, we're this close for you to look so perfect when you're here. So I go to the gym every morning for around 2.5, 3 hours, do my weight training, cardio. And my diet it's strict right now. I'm doing macros. I never did macros before, but I can see the difference. It's a huge difference. And then Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I train at the school at the Duck Pound Dojo from 7 to 10. I think in the next, trying to come back to MMA training probably after the cage match, because I have to make sure I'm like 100% for wrestling. Because if you get any injuries when you're training MMA, I'm stuck. But I gotta work. So I gotta be careful. So I'm gonna start doing boxing probably first, and then I'm gonna jump into jujitsu again. So, and that's gonna be, I'm adding another 6 hours to my regimen of training. Yeah, once I start training for MMA, because Combate Americas is about to start. They're about to start running shows again, and I had the opportunity to do local shows here for MMA, but financially for my family and for me, it works better if I work for a bigger company, because I will get paid more and exposure and everything. And but then I have to put at least 15 hours of training a week just on MMA.
Next AEW superstar be already on the roster, hiding in plain sight. Armchair Booking makes the case that the next big thing in AEW is her. Never has a wrestler in AEW had a nickname more apropos than the Problem, Marina Shafir. However, Armchair Booking believes with a bit of storyline redirection and some subtle changes, the Moldovan menace could become the women's division's answer to Hook, and possibly the next big thing in AEW. First, consider her MMA background. For before her WWE debut, Marina Shafir was an undefeated mixed martial artist for nearly 2 years until her first loss to Amanda Bell. During that time, she trained with her 3 roommates, Jessamine Duke, Shayna Baszler, and somebody named Ronda Rousey. The 4 of them were known as the 4 horsewomen of MMA, and all 4 made their way to the Big E together. While Baszler and Rousey found success, Duke and Shafir were eventually let go in 2021. But her background in MMA and judo is legit, and it should add to a believability and a menacing submission machine character. But that's where the problem with the problem really begins. Her AEW debut was a defeat to Chris Statlander on Dark. Hard to call her a problem if Statlander has already solved it. Look, I love AEW. It brought me back as a wrestling fan. But one of its few flaws is when it comes to debuting a new wrestler. And AEW really dropped the ball with Marina Shafir right out the gate. She went on to wrestle only a handful of squash matches before suddenly challenging Jade Cargill for the TBS title. Did she win? No. In fact, she just became another notch in Jade Cargill's winning streak. There was barely any build-up to that match. And also, there's the Blossom moment. That terrible promo that she did where we knew her, but we didn't know her. But we knew her, and we didn't know her. All while wearing Luffy's straw hat from One Piece. Don't get me wrong. Pairing her with Nyla and Vicky, 2 great talkers, was a smart move. But clearly she wasn't ready for the microphone. But we didn't know her. But we knew her. But you don't necessarily need to be good on the microphone to become a superstar. Or more accurately, your promos don't need to be over the top to get you over. Hook barely said a word, yet he was super over by the time he took the FTW title from Ricky Starks. As far as the sandbagging situation with Thunder Rosa, look at how that problem was resolved. Both women were able to put the issue past themselves and publicly broke bread together. That's the kind of mentality we need backstage. The truth is, there's a lot of untapped potential with Marina Shafir. And quite frankly, it seems like AEW just doesn't know what to do with it yet. Both Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley have spoken very highly of her in interviews. It was Moxley who actually made the suggestion that Shafir wrestle barefoot. During his interview with Renee Paquette, his wife, on the sessions, Moxley pointed out that Shafir already has the skills. She just needs to know how to package it. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said, before bleeding, of course. But this leads me to how the problem, Marina Shafir, could become AEW's next big thing. Make her the first female member of the Blackpool Combat Club. Hear me out. There's so much story potential here. Moxley and Danielson already admire her and act as her mentors. So why not make it kayfabe official? She doesn't need to cut promos. Just stand there in her hoodie looking ominous. We could even weave a storyline where Wheeler Yuta starts to become a bit jealous that she's getting all the attention while he becomes a punching bag. But in order to make this happen, Shafir needs to break up with Nyla Rose. And she needs to lose in that feud. That's when Danielson, who is stepping back from wrestling full-time by his own admission, starts to take notice and take her under his wing. Have her show frustrations, losing a couple matches to DQ, raging out in the ring before Danielson comes down, puts his arm around her, grabs the mic and tells her that she reminds him of himself. All this talent, but misdirected and lost. But that the BCC can give her that direction she needs, harness her ruthlessness, and turn it into gold. Then, cut to future promo packages as Marina trains the BCC, beating the crap out of an ego-waning Yuta. Continue to have her stand with the BCC, lurk in the background, not saying a word, just hoodie and scowl, occasionally jumping in when the BCC gets rowdy in a brawl. Even have her kayfabe put a wrestler on the injury list. Maybe Hangman or Penta needs to take some time off with their family. Have Shafir kayfabe break their arm or something. We need to start building how dangerous Shafir is now that the BCC has harnessed her ruthless aggression. Maybe not that. But then after a few months, the repackaged Marina Shafir debuts on live TV again. This time against Sky Blue or Kira Hogan. But with Danielson in her corner, Shafir destroys her opponent, almost to the point of energy. Make Danielson kind of like the problem whisperer of sorts, but more like Reese from Karate Kid than Mr. Miyagi. In fact, have her look to Danielson for approval just before locking in some sick submission move, smirking with a wild-eyed grin. And then have her continue to go on a brutal winning streak, leading up to the inevitable rematch with Nyla Rose, the native beast. But this time, Shafir brings the ruthlessness she learned from the BCC and causes the native beast to submit. Whoa. Now you have taken this aimlessly awkward MMA mid-carder and turned her into a real legit threat for the TBS and AEW Women's Champion. When her music hits, you want the crowd to go, "Oh shit, it's the problem." Not, "Ah shit, it's that problem." So what do you think? Could Marina Shafir become the next big thing? How would you book Marina Shafir if you were in charge? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, let's remember to enjoy wrestling, be cool to each other, and keep it too sweet.
Oh, I got this funny thing.
It's kind of all of those combined. I've always loved shows like The Office and stuff like that.
Great.
So, a lot of the times we'd think of something and it's like, okay, well, how could we build a bit around this? Like the slumber party episode that we just did, the butcher bought John his like sleep shirt that he's been wanting for months that says positively exhausted. He just bought it for him. So I was like, oh, let's have a slumber party. Like that's something we would do. Let's have a slumber party episode. And then we would just all sit in and be and like pitch like, oh, we can build a fort. We can do, you know, and everyone puts their little spin. The Valentine's Day episode, I sent a text last Monday before we even flew out. I was like, guys, like we almost forgot that it's Valentine's Day. Like we need to do a Valentine's Day episode. And then Cabana just came up, hey, let's make Valentine's for Wardlow. And like, then we just start putting our own, you know, so a lot of it is like, I'll sometimes just throw things out there, like Cowboy Day. I was like, hey, we need to have a day that we just dress up as cowboys. And then everybody throws in, oh, what if we did this? What if we did, you know, the only one I was like fully like pretty much is my baby is the Christmas episode.
The caroling?
Back in like October. In October, I was like laying in bed one night. I was like, oh, we need to do like a Halloween episode. And then, a Christmas episode. And I literally, it was like 1 a.m. I got my phone and I literally wrote the 12 Days of Christmas, but Dark Order style.
I love that song. That was great.
And my wife just looked over. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I have an idea for a bit and I have to write it down because I will forget it. And then I wrote Hangman the Handsome Cowboy on the flight home. And I was very hands-on and very militant with how people were doing their parts. So
take it very seriously.
Like this is my baby right here. Like, so it's really, you know, a lot of it will just come. Sometimes we'll have an idea ahead of time. Sometimes it's like, oh God, like we have a couple hours to film something. What can we do? And thankfully we've all just we know each other and our group dynamic so well that we can just find like one little thing and then build something around it.
It's really great that you say that part because I was really, I'm interested as a fan on the group dynamic because when I watch you and Johnny, you know, John's got this big over the top personality, you know him, right? And you're always like, it's so important on comedy teams where you have that straight man who has those witty, like dry, like comments that can sometimes make you crack up. You always are such a nice counter to John. Can you elaborate a little bit on like the roles? Because obviously Colt, you mentioned him and his creative process. That guy's been through it all. You know, he's seen everything. Can you kind of briefly talk about the way you guys all fit together to create this happy family? Like, you know, who's like, as far as the workhorses of the group that you look to as far as training partners, who do you see a lot of potential in, stuff like that? Just kind of off the cuff, looking at the Dark Order moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, man, you know, I'd like to see like 5 and 10 get featured more. I think kind of like us, and like once we started kind of to get going with BT, we all kind of made the decision to be like, all right, like, you know, we got taken care of. Like now it's time for us to like, hey, 5 and 10, like we need to come up with individual characteristics and characters for you guys and what you'll do. And, you know, and let's use this to help get all of us, you know, to where we want to be. I think Anna has been such a great addition with as little as she does. I think it's fantastic. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like she doesn't need to, if she does a lot, it's just not funny. You know, she just sits up top perched, just looking over at the
kind of like embarrassed by your goofiness. Right. Exactly.
So like, I'm glad that she's in the, you know, women's like tournament coming up. Like I think that'll be a good showcase for her. And then like, you know, Stu and Uno are just they're so good and have been teaming for so long. And they're kind of like the same dynamic as us. Like, you know, Stu and Johnny are very similar. They're very intense. And then me and Uno are just kind of like the straight men. Like,
that,
you know.
yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. So it's weird. We have a very similar, you know,
Dynamic.
characteristics, but dynamic, but it's also different when the four of us are together. And then like, man, Colt has helped us a lot as far as like comedy and putting stuff in the right places and adding little things, you know. But like for me personally, like it's sometimes tough because John is so over the top and out of control that like all the attention goes on to him, which as it should, like it's hysterical. He cracks everybody up, including me on camera all the time. You know, so it's like, I know that I can't match him over the top, you know?
Right.
So like, I just try to find my little,
your
my
niche.
little quips. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, it took a while to get comfortable with that. But I've started to see like, okay, people are getting like kind of my sense of humor and my part in all of this. I just look to it as like Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, like any famous comedy team, like, you know.
I talked about it with SPD beforehand, like the Chris Farley and David Spade. That's kind of my era, and you very much have that David Spade thing where you keep him in check a little bit, and you have your little quips and things like that.
Yeah, and you need that balance.
Absolutely right.
It's just all balance.
Absolutely right.
Now you guys balance each other in the ring and outside the ring, and I'm a huge fan of your guys' offense and the tandem wrestling skills. You know, we love fast, fluid moves in the ring. Now, what are some of the teams that you face throughout your career that you enjoy being in the ring with, that comes so natural and flow together, where you guys can really put on like A+ matches with your eyes closed, that you really feel the chemistry?
Man, the Young Bucks are just so good. I really love the opportunity to have, because we've wrestled them like a few times in AEW, but not in like a straight up one-on-one or like straight tag team match. So I really hope we get that chance soon. I think that would be a lot of fun. Their chemistry is just off the charts, and you know, I think that would be very cool. Another team that we've wrestled a bunch is Team Tremendous, Bill Carr and Dan Barry. We've known those guys for years, and just those are just so much fun. You know, Bill is like this like big boss man, like just big guy that just throws. It's so much fun to wrestle them. But yeah, I'd say the Young Bucks. They're just too good.
They are definitely top of their game right now. I did rewatch that Fatal 4-Way you guys had in CZW with Team Tremendous, Young Bucks. Just watched that today.
OI4K.
Yeah, that was a fast-paced, high-energy match. A lot going on. It was a fun match to watch for sure. Now I had to ask. I asked Silver this. It's kind of an off-the-cuff question. Like, what celebrity, being a recruitment specialist, what celebrity would you want to recruit to the Dark Order? It could be alive or dead.
Oh man. Who did John say?
There's no pressure. Yeah, there's no pressure because his answer was Fred Durst.
Yeah, that's a good one. Doesn't not surprised either.
We were both Limp Bizkit fans growing up too, so I'd support that. Yeah.
God, a celebrity. I would have to say probably Sting.
Oh,
the musician Sting.
Oh,
he could lead our morning yoga classes, and then we could just tell everybody, "Hey guys, Sting is in the Dark Order." and
That's
and people just be like, oh, that's awesome. I can't believe you got Sting, not knowing that it's the singer Sting.
There you go. That's a
Yeah.
BT right there. Start
Yeah.
passing out flyers.
That is an awesome
Sting
idea.
joins Dark Order. Sting joins Dark Order. Pass
Yeah.
out flyers to everyone and spread the
There we
word.
go.
Yeah, you
That's
start
great.
playing Fields of Gold, man. You
Yeah.
I love it. Oh man, that is fantastic. So going like moving forward, you obviously have a lot of great material that you still can tap into. What are some of your favorite things looking back on the last year and just all that transformation that took place, Alex? What's your favorite moment or two that stuck out to you over the last year?
Oh man. The couple like ones that like while we were filming hurt so much because of pure laughter. We did it was the one where I forgot what it was about. But it was the one where Uno pulls out the Jaguars helmet and Brody throws the papers at him.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like something where Brody's like, he comes in and he's like, 3 of you guys are doing great. And he looks at like 5'10" and Stu and he's like, 3 of you guys are just fucking staring. He starts ripping into us. And it's just so hard not. Like, we got out of there. My abs were hurting. I had a headache because we were just dying laughing.
Oh,
I loved
great.
the one where me and John try to frame Stu.
In the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it starts with like Anna just chilling in the men's bathroom. Yeah, that one was one of my favorites. And then the Cowboy Day and the Christmas special were just I think like really upped it to the point where we're like, we don't know how we're going to top these.
To top this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the editing on Cowboy Day was just mind-blowing. So those were, and it's just wild. Like we come up with these ideas and we're just like, this has made us more popular than like wrestling on TV, which is just wild.
Absolutely.
And has, because of the reaction that we've been getting from fans through like these silly videos, like we've been featured on TV more, and it's like,
love it.
Oh man, like we never
great.
thought, like we never did that. Like, I guess it was our end goal, but like our thought was like, hey, let's just have fun with this and be creative and come up with stuff. Maybe we'll get on TV once or twice, and then like, so it's just, I don't know. It's just wild. There's just silly videos.
No, and that's the thing. Like you could tell, like, talking to John, he mentioned like he wants to be like entertaining TV and all those things, and you can tell you love the wrestling side. I could tell that, and when you see it in your ring work, you could tell you're polished. Who are some of the people you mentioned growing up? Having a lot of different inspirations. You're a diehard wrestling fan. Who are some of your fans that who are some of the performers that you really became a fan of, that you just sort of geeked out over, and who you you kind of looked up to over the course of your career as a fan?
Oh man, there's so many. Probably top of the list is Shawn Michaels. Just so good. And then like I love Tully Blanchard. To the point where like I get nervous around him when I see him. It's like, hey Tully, hey.
I would be the same way. I love that old school, man. Absolutely.
Like, Tully was just so good. And then
a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to do a little bit of both. You should most definitely try to do your own thing here and there and experiment with things for sure. But I have received a lot of advice and guidance from so many people backstage. So Mark Henry has been so kind and shared so much knowledge. Jerry Lynn, one of the kindest men in the world. Always there. Paul White has been great and shared a lot of knowledge with me. I mean, everybody there. Billy Gunn has been huge for my career. He's helped me a lot, and he helped me for a long time when I was going through that, just murdering everybody. I mean, I guess I still am kind of doing that, but
I know what you mean.
but when it was really starting to happen consistently week after week,
sure.
Like when it first started, it was him.
Yeah.
Giving me some sort of tweak every week, and I just remember being so excited every week to come back and do it again and tweak whatever we had talked about, and then I would fix that, and then he would have something new for me, and it was
That's
like
cool.
it was really this cool thing for a while, and he still helps me to this day.
You just mentioned QT. I'm a big QT mark, man. I think that guy's amazing. He's been so cool to us too.
QT is the man. He really is.
Yeah.
QT is the man in so many ways. People have no clue.
Yeah.
QT.
Just always grinding.
There's so much I could say about QT. But yeah, him as well. Art Anderson. Okay, sorry, heard something. Just the blinds, real windy.
Somebody knocking on your window.
Could be.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
But I would say the biggest. So obviously Cody Rhodes was huge.
Yeah.
Influence and really helped me out at the beginning stage. But
do you miss him? I mean, do you miss Cody?
Dude, Cody, I've always been cool with Cody and vice versa. Cody and QT were my first contacts with AEW.
That's cool.
It started
really
with
cool.
them. I mean, the cage match.
Oh, unreal.
Pivotal moment.
I love Cody, and I'll always support Cody no matter what he's doing.
That's cool.
No matter what. So he's never been anything but kind and supportive of me, and I've never seen him be anything other than that with other people. So that's just my perspective. But Cash and Dax and Sean Spears, huge. The knowledge that those men have shared with me and the way they've kind of taken me under their wing and the bond and relationship we've grown to have, myself and those three men. Unfortunately, Sean Spears lost his mind there for a while. I do think he's reeling it back. I think he's finally
maybe becoming a dad soon. Maybe
Yeah, so I think that's got him snapped back to reality. Thank freaking goodness. I thought he was going to be one of those guys that pulled the ski mask off. No, don't go back there. Don't go back there.
No,
it's a trap. So, I'm sure he'll be back to do his thing.
He played such a pivotal role in your feud with MJF. It was like the unsung hero. I think
he was great,
man. He was great.
Fantastic.
He is great.
Yeah.
Spears, Cash, and Dax are so good at professional wrestling.
The Pinnacle was the real thing, man. You were very much a peer to them, though, man. I mean, the Pinnacle's the real thing.
No matter what you think about Max, personal. If you take your personal opinion of him aside, and you look at that group, holy.
Outreach program.
So every city, it's like Sean Dean was kind of the one who would set it up. And then
that's cool.
Me and Sean are really good friends because he also trains at the Nightmare Factory.
Right.
And so I told him, like, you know, I'll do wherever we're at, I'll do them, you know, because I think it's cool, you know, and it's always something different. And, you know, like the one we did in Philadelphia was like a book drive thing for like kids. The one in Chicago was called Fire Buddies, and it was like the fire department would bring in these kids who either currently had these illnesses or just beat them, which that like hit home to me, you know. So I was like, that's sort of the stuff I really like to do.
Right.
And then we did the Humane Society one, and I don't remember where we were, but yeah, I mean, I just like I love doing it because like there's so many people who have these like large platforms in entertainment or music or sports, whatever, and they don't do anything good with it, you know, except just that one outlet of whatever their job is. So it's like there's so much more to wrestling than actually wrestling. And that was something I was told like from the beginning. Like I was always told like the stuff you do in the ring is like 5% of the business. And as I started wrestling, I didn't understand what are you talking about? Like, it's professional wrestling. The whole thing's wrestling. And then the more I'm in it, then I finally clicked like the wrestling aspect doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You know, because like when I'd watch as a kid, I would never watch and be like, oh, he's my favorite because of that one.
The
movie.
work rate,
like
yeah.
Like they're my favorite because of the people they are, you know, because the characters on and off screen. So that's when I was like, oh, this all makes a lot of sense now.
And it's so much easier now with the use that platform. You know, back in the day, there was you know, fan mail and things like this, like the instant stuff that you can react to people. If you like someone's post or just comment on someone, you're very great on social to your fans. Like a little bit goes such a long way to so many people. If they are struggling that day, I'm like, oh, 10 liked my post or 10 reposted me, and like it can be so impactful. But to you, it's just a click of the button. But this can make their week or their month.
You don't realize that like how much that means to people. Because like I try to be super interactive. I did a meet and greet in Alabama, and this lady told me that she was like really depressed, and I started interacting with her on Twitter, and she's like, you changed my whole life. And she like had my hash marks tattooed on her wrist, and I'm like, wow. This is insane.
That's powerful.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty amazing to hear, like, and it's so genuine. This is one of the things when we interviewed Thunder Rosa, you talked about her too, and just you could tell when someone's genuinely care, like it comes from that place. That this is not a commitment that you have to meet. This is something that you genuinely want to do, and I love and respect that. It's pretty incredible. But it's no wonder why Brody would always tease you about getting those pre-show workouts in, because your schedule has to be absolutely crazy, dude. I mean, it's unbelievable what you're doing right now. Let's transition into the ring and that training regimen, dude. You're one of the biggest, like, baddest dudes on the roster. You're in this heavyweight title tournament for a reason. You are one of the more powerful guys in AEW. What are you doing now that you've seen, looking back a year or two ago, that you feel like has really taken you to another level? What's your training regimen like, and kind of what are some goals that you have going forward with that?
I mean, so I've been really into working out for like the past 11 years now. So I'm like, I don't want to say I'm vain, but like I take pride in how I look. So like I always tell everyone, like if I worked at McDonald's, I would still have the same workout schedule. I truly would, because I love working out, and that's what QT will always tell the new students. He's like, you know, like you can come in into the business and look good, but you know, you get signed, you're on the road, it's a lot harder to work out and stay in shape. He goes, unless you're a psycho like Vance who just likes to work out for no reason. You know, and I was talking to do you know Charlie Ramone? He's one of Darby's. He's like on the vlog crew. So he's one of my really, really close friends. He also lives in Georgia. And I was talking to him yesterday, and him and Darby were talking about people who like get injured and come back and like look like shit, you know. And Charlie's like, yeah, Vance came back and looked better than he did before.
Okay, so I don't even know where to begin with this chapter. So the FTW title too, which I never asked for. Obviously, it was just gifted to me. It was handed to me. And that's cool. It was neat. But it wasn't anything I asked for, and I don't think it was anything that I needed. And even more so, we never really did that much with it. So, you know, it was cool, but I don't know. I was indifferent on the whole thing. And then obviously how it all ended, how I lost it and everything else. Exactly, doesn't sit very well with me. But I do think that where we've gotten to with this thing, I think has taken longer than it probably should have to have gotten there. And then now, even at this point, yeah, I'm so mad, and yes, I want my retribution, and I still want to beat Ricky Starks, and who better than Cage? But when it's 1-on-1, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, I'm almost okay with moving on, just to move on at this point as well. Like I'm kind of caught in the middle of that too, where it's like, I still want whatever Team Taz is barred from ringside kind of stipulation, but at the same time, like, I don't know, the idea of finally actually moving away from Team Taz and doing something else sounds pretty damn good as well. So I know it seems a little open ended a little bit, and I mean, hey, with that long term storytelling, we can always fall back to it. But I come this weekend, because I have no idea what we're doing in Miami. But come this weekend, if we move in a total different direction, I'm not gonna be terribly upset about it.
Yeah, Team Taz, I mean, his mentorship seemed positive at first, but it was rubbing me, the resident babyface, the wrong way, because it seemed to use you for his own personal agendas. He was using you as the muscle and all that. And
exactly, I said that to you. I was like, look, Taz, you don't really care about me. You don't care I go out there and how I'm being looked or represented. You just care how it makes you look. I'm like, you're just really trying to live vicariously through me.
Right.
And I'm like, I feel like that's why I give the FCW title and pitch that and this, because I thought he was going to ask me to do the Taz mission. Like, don't ask me to do the Taz mission. I do the fucking Taz mission. But yeah, I felt like it was almost more of that than anything else. And then we started to kind of have more and more disagreements, so that we would see things or think things or stuff that how both of us would perform, and I don't want to say we're butting heads, but obviously it wasn't working out, and then it just kind of fell through with everybody else. Actually, I haven't really butted that many heads with Will or Hook. Actually, it was more with Ricky trying to steal the spotlight, and then Taz kind of trying to live vicariously through me. So that was kind of like that, and even Taz and Ricky would bump heads a little bit too. So that little love triangle, if you will. Wasn't exactly
never works out.
Yeah.
You guys created a lot of great TV, a lot of great matches. That cinematic match was absolutely the
best cinematic match.
One of the best things we have seen.
So good
in wrestling.
I mean, come on, tell me a cinematic match from any company that's better than that one.
It was amazing. There isn't one. So well done too. Really helped break Sting into the AEW fold in a really good way, Brian.
All four of you guys.
I'll tell you another little inside info too, which that Sting told me afterwards. That was the first time Sting's ever broke a bat too in his entire career. He's never broken a bat over him. And I also used to do it hurt like a mother as well.
Well, you are a machine for a reason, right?
Well, yeah. The baseball bat to the snow shovel to the head. Yeah, I was feeling both of those. I was like, whoo. That's about it for me.
Those two, talking about closing a chapter and opening up a new one, those two guys are kind of outnumbered right now. And I know you got some history with them. We were kind of fantasy booking it on one of our shows the other day. Like Brian Cage kind of intertwining with Sting and Darby. I mean,
actually, I did see that, and I was thinking, because I don't know.
Long-term storytelling.
I was thinking, if somehow me and or MJF and I were in this title tournament, which also I believe you guys said like that match, that would be an awesome match. Obviously, Pinnacle would get, I'm sure, involved for MJF. But then, hey, what better way to have the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and have the little long term respect come back. That paid Sting and Darby come out to get the revenge, but also help me. So I mean, it kind of flows together pretty well. And I mean, let's just say this too. Obviously, Hangman's gonna face Kenny for the title, I assume, at the pay-per-view. And more than likely, I would be cheering and thinking that Hangman's gonna finally capture the title. Now, I am was kind of rooting for him to do that as well, because as far as I look, there's only one person that's pinned him this whole year, anyways, and we're 1-1, so we might need a rubber match. So again, that all just kind of flows together pretty nicely.
Love it.
We'll see.
We are all on board to that for sure. That would be.
I mean, hey, if we go to the title tournament, it's a good transition for myself to get away from FCW and Team Taz, and then we have the MJF Sting Darby like little connection during that tournament, and then if Paige wins the title, and me and freaking Paige can go and freaking have a rubber match, and then after that, then I can still be Ricky Starks again. So whatever.
it. Wow.
See, all these good things that are coming out of like closing that chapter. I love. There's so many, like you said, so many opportunities and possibilities down the road. SPD, I know that you're geeking out about the potential. Brian, do you think that like that match is that like that Sting match? I mean, that was one that I know SPD you loved. Is that you think that that's like your highlight of your time here in AEW or?
It's my best match is with Hangman at Double or Nothing for sure. But as far as like history making, I'm sure the Sting match does more too because it's more unique and there's obviously more variables that go into that. And I remember I even told Jericho came and put over the match to us afterwards, and I was like, right, it's like the best cinematic match there's ever been. He goes, second best, and I go. I was like, no, it's really the best.
Of course.
You had to give you a little underhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Jericho fashion. I mean, honestly, for me, as a fan of yours, dude, I'll be honest with you. A thing that I think you should be most proud of is your appearance on Dark Side of the Ring. I thought,
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that show, it's hard. You're dealing with very like deep, tough topics, and no bigger case than Chris Kanyon and all that he went through in his life. I just felt like you handled yourself with such class, and you really represented him and your friendship with him in a way that couldn't have been easy. Can you share the thing that I felt like even bigger taking away from all that was some of the life lessons that you gained from your relationship with Chris? Can you share, some of that with us?
Are you talking about like when he came out to me? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, I mean, like his life and what it meant to you going forward. Like obviously him coming out to you, but how you reacted to all that and how that helped change and transform you going forward as a person.
Well, yeah, as I mentioned that too, and I remember. Even my wife was worried that I was going to get canceled or get heat for saying that. I was like, no, man. I said it. And whenever I've told the story to anybody, I would say it truthfully. And I think, too, it came across differently for me. I know he told me, and I know he's told other people, too, that he was really nervous. I'm sure he was for everyone to come out. And I think because we've created such good bond, created such good friends, but on the base of that friendship was still this, like, idealistic hero, person that I'm looking up to, that I can't believe that I'm friends with, Our friendship was kind of superseding that, but there's still that's the core, like foundation that kind of built on was like, me just putting this person on such a high pedestal. And again, so for my age and for, the time of the year, stuff, and even in where I lived and everything else, obviously that wasn't like common or promoted, and I didn't have any like animosity towards it. But so when he came out to me, that's what I said when I was like bummed at first, like disappointed. I think that came from looking up to my hero kind of aspect. And we got the phone, and like I said, I was like, as I'm walking back downstairs to clock back in, I was at work, and I started thinking about it, and I was walking downstairs and go, wait, why am I sad? Why does that even matter? And I'm like I was a fan of him to begin with from what he did in the ring, like nothing else, like in his personal life, period, as a wrestler. And then our friendship evolved from that, and like, how does that change our friendship? Not at all. I'm like, he's still the same exact person. I go, it doesn't. I go, oh, it fucking doesn't matter. And this is really just like that. I went from this like kind of like shock, like, oh no, like bummed out feeling, to like, oh, I don't care. And then like it was so cool, and he was so open about it too, and so chill. And like I remember he would like dog on himself and make jokes about himself all the time. Like he was such a cool dude, and he was so giving too. Talk about life, like so giving, so selfless, which is incredibly rare to have somebody you can't really say anything bad about, which Kenyon fits that bill. But he was so incredibly selfless, like almost too much was a fault. Just such a giving, awesome dude, and just, I mean, I wanted to be like him in so many ways in that regard, just as far as being so giving, so nice, so just fun loving, just being a respectful, just all around good person, and then just such an amazing, not only an amazing performer, but amazing original creative performer. Like, I mean, as a young teenager, I was amazed on not just how good he was in the ring, but to just all these like his punches he threw were great. The punches he would sell were great. All his he made everyone's moves look so much cooler. Like it just on top of all obviously all the cool moves that he invented and made up. Like he never did anything bad. Like I remember, backyard wrestling when I was 12 years old, and I would emulate him and try to do all his moves. And obviously, he talks about the good old N64 days and in the WWE Revenge and how awesome his character was in that game. And like, there's just so many good things, man.
Thought through everything. You're there at the factory now, right next door. You said there's wrestlers training. Your wealth of knowledge and your experience is many, many years in the making. What do you tell someone on day one of wrestling school who is interested in becoming a wrestler? What is your advice as soon as they walk in the door, essentially, and put on those boots?
Affiliated with AEW. No, it is true. I do say that right out the gate. Hey, we're not affiliated with AEW. Like, you're going to come here, you're going to work hard. Hey, if something happens, great. Right. Nothing is guaranteed. Yep. I treat wrestling like school in the sense that it's a report card. So these are your subjects: your promo, your look, your gear, your in-ring work, your etiquette backstage, your social media skills, yada yada. And the more A's that you get, the better chance you have at succeeding. The more D's you have, there's a good chance you ain't gonna make it. And at the same time, like, you can have all A's, but if your etiquette sucks, you're done. We want people that we want to work with.
Yeah,
no one wants to be around someone that's a headache all the time. So Cody really stresses that with the campers about, just the disrespect between people when they're going over matches. And, I'm a little inside baseball here, but like, hey, why do you want to do this to me? I don't think that makes my character. Like, who gives a? Just have fun, man.
Right.
No, not the casual fan isn't worried about how your character is perceived after you take that move and whether you kick out at 2 or 1.5. Like, no one gives a crap.
Right.
Just give them the best show possible. And when you have people that are arguing over these minuscule things, and I used to be one of them. I'm telling you, I used to be one of them. Now it's like, what do you want to do? Hey, if I work like a local guy, and I'll be honest with them up front. Hey, you're not getting a lot. It is what it is. But I don't want you to think that we don't care about you. So this is for me. But is there one thing that you think is going to impress us? Because that's all it takes. It takes one thing. As long as when it comes to in-ring wrestling, it comes to the whole package, of course, but you should already have that. I shouldn't be worried about you showing up without TV ready gear. I shouldn't be worried about you showing up, out of shape. And that doesn't mean you need a 6-pack. That just means whatever your character is, it should match what your body looks like. Right. So I tell them that, hey, you might get to do 2 things. Pick the greatest 2 things you could possibly do. As long as they fit, that we can make it work. My job is to help you as well, but you have to help me. And I was the guy on the other side a year and a half ago. Right. And I was losing in 2 minutes. And if you push through that, you can come to the other side. You just have to know that. And it's much easier than someone telling me what they want to do than me going to someone else and then having them deliver the message and yada, yada. It's just, and people get mad all the time. Oh, QT's mean. Sure, whatever. I just took your, I'm in the middle of getting ready to wrestle Cody Rhodes and I let you beat me up for 2 minutes. Like, right. Am I really mean? What I mean? Maybe you didn't get to do your double Canadian destroyer, but at the same time, like, I sold for you. Right. And you've never been seen before. So like, you just have to look at it certain ways. So, again, it's not very popular, but at least I'm honest. You ain't ever going to get mad at me for lying to you,
No. And QT, I think that there's a need for that, right? And in a pro wrestling locker room and truly any upstart business. I mean, you've been part of this from the get-go. And, now it's easy to kind of take advantage. Like, some people can look at AEW, wow, you guys are a well-oiled machine. You're hitting 1 million plus viewers every week. The content's been incredible, and can sort of forget the struggles and the stress and the work and all that goes into creating an upstart company.
Yeah.
We've had the blessing of being able to talk to a couple other talents in AEW, and universally across the board, everybody talks about the backstage environment, QT, and you mentioned it you mentioned your Q&A on Twitter.
I'm like a personal defense secretary for QT Marshall on Twitter. I'm always on there defending you. I love you to death. And I noticed your Q&A, you talked a little bit about, how you have so many vets in AEW and obviously great youth in AEW too, but a lot of veterans who kind of keep the creative process flowing in a mature way. It's not like, let's sit down and take notes on everything. Can you give us a little bit of like, who are some of the other guys that you look at when you look around, especially as a truth teller like you, man? Who are some other names in AEW that you see or who are emerging as obviously we know the Jerichos and things like that, but who are emerging as guys who you could see becoming those locker room leaders as AEW moves forward?
Man, so of course, you have your Jungle Boys, your Darby, stuff like that, right? Like those guys, the young ones, MJFs that are well beyond their years already, because they treat it a lot differently than most people at their age, right? So I look at those guys. I also look at like the ones that are kind of my age-ish, a little bit younger as well, that are still older souls, maybe, right? Like they're not just, and I look at those kind of guys. And I also just really try to pay attention to how people are backstage and what they're doing with their time. Are they not people that just going around and like, hey, I know it all, so listen to me. But it's also like just being available and sitting down and watching other things. And then, hey, did you happen to see that? Or, hey, what'd you think? Or, obviously there's always going to be cliques and people coming from the same schools and this, that, and the other. And then you have guys that are just back there, like I always say, like Jake Roberts and, Tully Blanchard. And it's like, I have a great relationship with Tully, like probably a better relationship than maybe some in the Pinnacle. Like it is what it is, behind the scenes. One, because I was the first person to ever interact with him besides Cody, when it came time to do business. Also, he sees what I go through and, he respects it. And at the same time, like I want to learn as much as I can. And why wouldn't I learn from those guys that they legitimately drew money? You know what I mean? Like money, not, listen, we all make great money now, but there's a lot of other factors into play, So, like I said, he's someone that I always go to with stuff. And sometimes he'll give me advice and I don't use it either. Like I'll just do what I was going to do anyway. And I'll tell him, hey, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to try this. If it doesn't work, hey, I will be the first one to come back and say, hey, that didn't work, but at the same time, don't tell me exactly how to do stuff because I want to learn. And it's easy for you just tell me do X, Y, and Z. I'm just going to go do X, Y, and Z. And if it works, cool. But at the same time, like that's not fun. What's fun is like me telling you my ideas and you looking at me like I have 30 heads. And then I go out there and do it. And then sometimes it works. It's like, man, that cartwheel flip thing you did that I thought was ridiculous made the whole place go nuts. And I'm like, well, if it's the only thing they saw, you know what I mean? Right. Getting my butt kicked, So yeah, it's a great atmosphere backstage. It really is. But we have just a lot of fun. It's just a bunch of people like again, living their dream. And it starts with Tony. This is his dream, was owning a wrestling company. So, it starts at the top.
I love it.
And to become a millionaire off of wrestling. You know what I mean? It was just to run a wrestling show.
Right.
So,
and he's running a great one.
Yeah. And we see the passion he has. And, we all just try to give him our absolute best.
That's great leadership. I mean, starting from the top, you want to strive as a whole, as a team, because as AEW, that's like we talked about, the common theme that we hear from others is you guys are a team uplifting others. It's not someone trying to get the top spot, the behind the scenes politics. It seems like AEW genuinely just cares overall as a success overall, no individual big heads. And you guys are handpicking these superstars joining, every single week. It seems like more and more are joining. Your roster is so deep. It's such a fun time to be an AEW fan, man.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
It's cool. And again, it's one of those things that I welcome everybody because, hey, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm not going to get a spot on TV. Okay. I got to work harder then. Yep. It is what it is. I'm not going to wish, these, we're going to sign The Rock, right? Like, obviously that's,
breaking news.
Breaking news. QT Marshall.
Yeah, clickbait, right? But like if someone said we're going to sign The Rock, I'm not going to say, oh my God, we're going to sign The Rock. He's going to show up and work once. No, I'm going to be like, oh my God, that's great. How many more eyes are going to be on us? Right. I hope to get a spot on the episode that he's on.
You
know what I mean? And that's the mentality you should have. So, again, I think a lot of us do have that mentality. And the ones that they haven't shown it yet to the point where, because again, I think we would just cut ties with them. It's just not worth it. No one wants the headache, you know. And AEW is, unless you're the Chris Jerichos, the Codys, the Moxleys, or any of those really, really, really higher ups, AEW is what draws. It's not one individual. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing is that, and I'm not saying it in a way where, oh, well, everyone's replaceable. I'm saying it in a way that that's what makes us who we are, is that it's the show. Like, we're selling out an arena pay-per-view with not one match being announced.
I know.
So what happens
if
you go to All Out and it's literally all the guys and girls you see on Elevation? You're still going to get a great show. You might not get the big stars that you want, but it'll still be a great wrestling show. And that's what we do. So, of course, we're not going to do that. But at the end of the day, like, if we did, so what? It's going to be a great show.
You talked about the report card, and AEW is a lot about. I mean, they check a lot of the boxes, man. It's entertainment, but it's great pro wrestling. There's a great blend of that, and the brand itself is redefining what it means to be a pro wrestling fan right now. It absolutely is.
We could talk to you. Thank you so much again, QT.
Yeah, man.
All night, just shooting the breeze. But we know your time is valuable. But I like to end our interviews like a quick fast 5 questions, kind of off the cusp. So I'm going to ask you fast 5 questions, then we'll wrap things up. We really appreciate the time.
I'm just looking. I love that I didn't capitalize the letters in my name. It's just like lowercase q. Like I was trying to figure out how I'm getting in. I'm just like, QT, boom, and then I'm like, oh, well, that's weird.
Yeah, it'll work. Yeah.
No headphones. I'm like the most old school possible. Like,
no, your office is awesome. We were commenting on that all that memorabilia back there. It looks like an awesome office.
So this isn't mine. This is our partnership with our facility. Real quick, Chip Smith is like a world-renowned NFL coach that he actually is with the NFL alumni right now, and he's put over 2,000 athletes into the NFL. So that's amazing. These are all the athletes he's. Not all of them. These are just a couple that he's trained. There's a whole wall on the other side of every team. All the people that he's trained, Brian Urlacher, Cam Newton, like all of these guys. The last one that just came out of here that, was Jalen Hurst.
Wow.
So JR likes that story, because he's an Oklahoma guy. So.
Oh, yeah.